Okay, take two. So, welcome to another Auxiliary Ideas. This one's quite improvised, but before I dismantle the patch, I thought I might show it to you in case it is interesting. So recently I've been recording children's toys because we've got a lovely little baby and some toys are quite musical. I also recently gave her a paper tube to play with because she wanted to play with it. Quite similar to this one. Not this one, but same idea. And it had quite an interesting percussive sound. So from the top part and also the resonance from the body. So I used that as a kind of instrument in a session, which I'll show you the original session. With some other sounds. And then I took that recording and ran it through this little modular system. And what is quite interesting is that I am running it in a way that the left and right sides are quite different. They're being modulated in a way that's quite different. And the results at the end are interesting, I think. So I hope you agree. So there are three signals coming from Ableton, left and right, and the clock. I'll start with the audio. So essentially, let's focus on the left side. The left side here is going into the Eudemonia, the Dreadbox Eudemonia filter and VCA. I'll come back to what is modulating that. From there, it is being split. So one side is quite simply going into this last stereo strip. The right side is going into this passive gate, which was a lovely gift from Worng Electronics at Booth 22. It was a nice kit to build. He gave us the plate. Oops. He gave us the plate and the PCB. And then, the passive low-pass gate, which is nice. So, straight away, we've got two very different left and right signals. One's going directly into this passive gate, the other one's going into this filter. Now, the filter is being modulated via this sample and hold, or Ladik sample and hold, which is listening to the Muxlicer. So the Muxlicer is feeding the sample and hold, and then the Muxlicer is also chopping up the folded signal. Now this folded signal is not being heard as audio. It is being used to modulate the pan, which I will show you. We'll come back to that. In terms of the Eudemonia, the sample and hold is then modulating the low pass, the high pass, and the VCA. Okay, so let's have a listen. Now we can actually start, we can hear just the filter by itself. Okay, so here we go. Here it is, just the filter. Okay, so the Muxlicer via the sample and hold is modulating the filter low pass and the high pass and also the VCA. Here we've got no audio signal running through, it's just the sound of the filter verging on self-oscillation. Which is quite a nice sound in itself and a big part of the sound. Okay, so let's bring in the audio. Sorry, it's difficult one-handed here. Okay. So there's the sound, and you can hear the here we go. On the left side we've got the Eudemonia filter. On the right side, coming straight out of the passive gate up here at the top. And then if I adjust this CV pot here, you'll start to hear the bifold, the audio signal modulating the pan. Okay, so this is without the pan being modulated at all. Now bring in the modulation of the pan. And now I will overfold basically what becomes the CV signal. So I've been exploring some faster tempos with a friend of mine, and I've also been recording children's toys because they're around because of the baby, our little baby. And so here we go. I've got this recording of, well, this is not really a child's toy, but something I gave to her as a toy, which is a paper towel, a tube from the center of a paper towel. I will show you what I mean. And I recorded that I kind of overdubbed it to some other drum parts, and it sounds like this by itself. Okay, so it sounds like a paper tube, kind of percussive sound. I quite liked it, the resonant frequency and the percussive element. And then using Ableton CV tools, I ran a clock out into the modular, a little modular system, which I'll show you, and recorded some results. And it now, if I layer them all together, it sounds more like this. just before we continue, I thought I should mention mono compatibility. So I will get into the details of the patch with the modular system, but as a result of the strange patching, it is not super compatible in mono. So we can have a look at that here. This is a free tool, Flux Stereo Tool, which I'll put a link to somewhere. And so here, ideally using with this meter, with correlation, we can, when it is up here in the positive side, it is nice and compatible with mono, essentially. And here I flattened it to mono, so of course it is 100% compatible. If you look, we can see that we're losing quite a lot of it up here and from stereo back to mono. But by bringing in the stereo tool here and just narrowing slightly the sides here and bringing it centering it slightly, it becomes more compatible. Anyway, that was something I thought worth mentioning. Just keeping an eye on how things, how they collapse to mono, if you lose too much of the signal or not. It's a matter of taste, really. You can use a meter like this to have a look, but also just deciding if you are happy, basically, with the way it then sounds in mono and the space you get when it's in stereo, the sense of space. So just something to mention. Okay, I thought I would quickly show you the original project with the recordings of the toys, just for fun. So that is it. The timing is a bit off. I didn't quantize any of these. I recorded them in, playing along to that drum part, one of which is a field recording. The snare is a field recording. It is a concrete wall, a reflection hand clap off an interesting concrete wall. Anyway, I just thought I would show you that in case it is interesting. So I'm going to end this here. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found the sounds interesting, or the process interesting. I think it is. For me, it is. The result is quite scratchy. It can be a bit harsh, I will admit. Which is just something to keep in mind towards the end of the process. Maybe some EQ it would benefit from some EQ. But I think rhythmically it's interesting, and texturally, and even just in terms of the stereo field, what's going on, it is an interesting element to have in a piece of music, I think. So I will continue with it and put it into a piece of music at some point. Okay, until next time, ciao!